There is not a single piece of human behavior that cannot be explained in terms of our history as evolved beings, Dr. Kipling told his rapt audience. Perhaps someone would like to test that hypothesis? A hand flew up. Why do kids today wear their baseball caps the wrong way around? Asked someone wearing his peak forward.
2 reasons, said Dr. Kipling, confidently and without pause.
First, you need to ask yourself what signals a male needs to transmit to a potential mate in order to advertise his suitability as a source of strong genetic material, or more likely to survive than his competitive males. One answer is brute physical strength. Now, consider the baseball cap. Worn in the traditional style, it offers protection against the sun and also the gaze of aggressive competitors. By turning the cap around, the male is signaling that he doesn't need this protection. He is tough enough to face the elements and the gaze of any who might threaten him. Second, inverting the cap is a gesture of non-conformity. Primates live in highly ordered social structures. Playing by the rules is considered essential. Turning the cap around shows that the male is above the rules that constrain his competitors and again signals that he has a superior strength. Next.
Evolutionary psychology is one of the most successful and controversial movements in thought of the last few decades. It's loved and loathed in equal measure and intensity. Its essential premise is surely uncontroversial. Human beings are evolved creatures, and just as our bodies have been shaped by natural selection to make us fit for survival in the savannah, so too our minds have been molded by the same needs. The controversy concerns just how far you take this. The more zealous evolutionary psychologists claim that virtually every aspect of human behavior can ultimately be explained in terms of the selective advantage it gave our ancestors in their Darwinian struggle for survival. If you buy into this, it's not difficult to come up with plausible-sounding, evolutionary explanations for any behavior you choose. The experiment in the story of Dr. Kipling was to see if I, Kipling's scriptwriter, could come up with an evolutionary explanation of a random piece of human behavior. In real life, it only took me slightly longer to do so than it did Kipling in his imaginary talk. The trouble is that this suggests these are not genuine explanation at all, but just so stories. Evolutionary psychologists simply invent explanations on the basis of no more than prior theoretical commitment. But this gives us no reason to believe the accounts they offer rather than any other piece of speculation. What they say could be true, but it could just as easily be false. How would we know, for example, that the inverted baseball cap is a signal of strength rather than, say, a signal of weakness to resist peer pressure? Evolutionary psychologists are well aware of this criticism, of course. They argue that their accounts are much more than just so stories. For sure, they may generate hypotheses by indulging in the kind of speculation exemplified by Kipling's off-the-cuff explanation, but these hypotheses are then tested. However, there seems to be some serious limits on how far testing is possible. What you can test are the predictions concerning human behavior generated by evolutionary hypotheses. So, for example, psychological and anthropological studies could show whether males in different cultures make public displays of their strength, as evolutionary psychologists would predict. What you can't do, however, is test whether any particular behavior, such as inverting one's baseball cap, is a manifestation of this tendency to display strength, or is the result of something quite different. The big argument between evolutionary psychologists and their opponents is thus mainly concerned with how much can be explained by our evolutionary past. Critics say there are better ways of explaining most of our behaviors. Supporters claim that we just don't want to acknowledge how much we are the products of our animal history.